All right, man. Welcome to episode 2 of Series Recap. If you don't know what Series Recap is, for those of y'all that are new to the channel, it's just basically me talking about my raw and unedited thoughts. And yes, I know I'm a day late with this episode in particular. I've been kind of having lapses, and plus school and the gym, they've been keeping me busy, so I really haven't had that much time to do my YouTube videos. But here is episode 2 of Series Recap. Now, I want to preface by saying this is, as despite what the title tells you, it's not me trying to hate on these three teams. It's just me telling it like I see it. You know what I mean? So let's just dive right into it. So, as we all know, the following three teams got eliminated last night: the Denver Nuggets, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Chicago Bulls. I was about to say Miami Heat. So I'm going to talk about those three teams in order. So let's start with Atlanta. Um, I was so disappointed how they handled this year because I felt like the fact that they were 2 games away of knocking off the eventual champion in the Milwaukee Bucks, I think they bought into their own hype and it kind of got to the head. Now I made the series my series recap video about the Miami Heat where it just felt like Miami bought into their own hype a lot, especially with Tyler Hero, because a lot of people hyped up what he did in the bubble and what Jimmy Butler did in the bubble, and guess what? They both came up small against Milwaukee. So I don't know that I just felt like Atlanta had the same type of approach, and they really didn't make too much moves. I thought they should at least let Collins go for a bigger name to pair with Trae Young. I was thinking of like Bradley Beal, who he could relax on his scoring. To let Trae Young still be the second option, basically go back to being that 3 and D player that he once was when he had John Wall on his side. But that didn't happen. They gave John Collins a max deal, and John Collins, he did not play well in the series. I forgot what his stat line was, but it was not good at all. And look, a lot of people, though, a lot of my friends, they are not they don't speak highly of Trae Young, and that's me putting it nicely. They don't mess with him at all. But I think even they know that if Trae Young wants to win as an Atlanta Hawk, he can't. He has to put on some muscle. I think he's got to really, really tone up in the gym because, the fact that they throw bodies at him, they're throwing bodies on bodies on bodies at him, and he's not even that strong to begin with. Now, I think the difference is with the Chris Paul and Kyle Lowry, those dudes are strong. Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. Collins averaged 9.4 and 5 rebounds. That is unacceptable. Jesus. In 24 minutes. I get he wasn't all that healthy. Remember, he was ruled out in that Clipper after that Clipper game they played on March 11th. He didn't play up until game 1 against the Miami Heat. So yeah. He was not good at all. DeAndre Hunter looked like he deserved more money because the guy bought out of his mind, and I do think that DeAndre Hunter can be the second option. And I'm looking at his performances. I'm like, damn, DeAndre Hunter's pretty good, bro. Like, I understand that we threw him in that trade to get Anthony Davis, but imagine having a young player like Hunter with the core of Lonzo, Hart, Ingram, Nance, Jordan Clarkson, and all those guys. I get it. The bright lights of LA is not for everyone, but DeAndre Hunter, he came out of nowhere and he had a great series. Averaged 21 a game on pretty decent efficiency. And I think that game 5, he got screwed over with that foul call. I did not think that was a foul at all. He didn't even throw him down. I just think, he was trying to let go of PJ Tucker, and then PJ Tucker sold that one. I personally did not think that was a foul. That's just me. But I think someone said it in the comment section really well. The problem with Trae Young is that, yeah, he's a good shooter. well, not I wouldn't say a good shooter. He can shoot the ball, just not efficient enough. Like we're talking Houston Rocket James Harden type of inefficiency. All right. Um, but the problem with him is that he doesn't. He's too little, and he's not even that strong too. So when they're sending bodies at him, it's like Trey Young gets easily overwhelmed. And I read a comment in Trey Young's post game interview, and I'll read it verbatim. The biggest issue for Trey was the physicality of Miami. Trey needs to put on more size and work more on being less reliant on screens and try to attack the rim and improve his mid-range game a lot more. Go look at Kyle Lowry and CP3 for example. His defense will improve if he puts on more size. I kind of disagree because they're gonna still pick on him, but that's just me. I mean, if Kyle Lowry and Chris Paul can do it, so can he. But anyways, overall with the Hawks team is that they are too dependent on Trey, and they need a more reliable second option. Well, they have DeAndre Hunter now, uh, because that series was his coming out party. They have a lot of good options, but they need someone preferable in the small forward position to make the team more two-dimensional. Again, DeAndre Hunter, and it should be John Collins, but he flopped big time in the playoffs. He averaged 16 in the regular season, which is not terrible, but um, it could be so much better than that. You feel me? But anyways, other things are DeLon Wright is a really good defender, not making it easy for Hero. That's a fact. I mean, DeLon Wright did clamp up LaMelo Ball in their first playing game, and then their final playing game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. He did clamp up Darius Garland. He's a really good defender, and that was one of his strengths coming out of Utah when he was drafted by the Toronto Raptors, I believe, in 2015. That was his highlighted strength. He was a defensive stopper at the point guard position, and Toronto made him expendable because he had no spot in the rotation and he deserved to be somewhere else. You know what I mean? Um, Last thing is work on the depth and rebounding with improved center play, which that is what I do agree with because let me be honest here. Lou Williams cannot be the secondary backup point guard anymore. But you're not winning with DeLon Wright as your secondary backup point guard because he's a good defender, but he's not that efficient of a scorer, or he's not meant to score. You know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily living with Lou Williams as an aging Lou Williams who is hurt now more often and who barely plays anymore. I'm not gonna lean on him to be our option off the bench. Maybe he can, but he's definitely far from LA Clipper Lou Williams where he was dropping 20 plus a game. So they need to improve on that. And I do agree on the center position because Capella, he's good. He can give other bigs a lot of trouble, but he's too skinny on the front lines. Like not Claxton type skinny, but he's not big and strong enough to go with the best of them. Yeah, he had a decent run this year, and he had stretches where he looked like a pretty good center last year. But Capella is their only legit center on that team, and they could do what the Suns did and get more centers in their back pocket. Like the Suns, who I'll be discussing in episode 3, which will be released tomorrow, um, how they got JaVale, Bismack Biyombo, and DeAndre Ayton. I think this Hawks team can do the same thing. And a lot of people are saying that the Mavericks were the ones that won the trade because they got Luka based on height and skill. And I kind of disagree. The Mavs did win that trade, but it was not a win-lose trade. I thought Atlanta got what they wanted. They got their franchise piece. The Hawks got their franchise piece. It's just that, you can't put this on Trey, really. Yeah, he shot bad, and it's on him to get better. But you can't put this lost cause of a season on Trey Young fully. I think him playing bad in the Miami series was a symptom of how uh, poorly constructed this team was, and of course Trey Young's lack of size and strength helped cost them the series. So let me get into that before I talk about the Chicago Bulls. What I mean by that is Trae Young, he's a really good passer. He's a really good passer. Remember, he averaged 29 and 11 in the series against the Philadelphia 76ers last year. So he could pass the rock, and he's a really, really good facilitator. But my problem with him is that uh, what what negates his passing is his shot selection because he's known to take dumb shots. Like if you see on my gameplay here, I'm taking dumb shots with Trae Young, even though I passed that one to Nikola Jokic. Um, and you're gonna see it throughout the whole video. He took a lot of dumb shots, but again, that was more so Miami defense not giving him any easy looks at all, and so they let DeAndre Hunter beat. Well, they said let DeAndre Hunter beat us, and technically they nearly lost because DeAndre Hunter was cooking. He was cooking that team. He gave that team all he can handle. So I don't know. The future is still bright for Atlanta because they are still a young team, but they got a lot of work to do in the offseason. And I hope Trae Young, gets better from this. And, he knows what he needs to work on this offseason. Just get stronger and get more depth, which is what the comments said. I agree with that. Get a couple good centers, like get a Serge Ibaka on free agency if you can, because he'll help out Capella when he's in foul trouble. You have another experienced center that can help give this team experience. But I don't know. I love John Collins, but he's not worth that kind of money, bro. I, he's not worth that kind of money. And Kevin Herter disappeared in this series. Gallinari was fine, but Gallinari, he basically choked that game 5. But enough about the Atlanta Hawks. Let's move on to the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, we know that Chicago, they faced a lot of injuries this year. They were an injury riddled team, and which kind of sucks because at one point in time they were like the best team in the East, and it was just like, man, Bulls basketball is back. We're going to be the sleeper team in the East, and we're going to make a lot of noise in the playoffs. And when push came to shove, Lonzo Ball got injured, which that's been Lonzo's mo. Lonzo's mo is that, damn, dude cannot stay healthy at the most critical times of the season. Like I remember when he was a Laker, we were up 20 against the Houston Rockets, which is basically Lonzo's final game as a Laker. He went down, and it didn't help that LeBron went down. That derailed any hopes of us making the playoffs entirely. That his injury fucked us the most. You know what I'm saying? Um, but Lonzo Ball got injured. That didn't help. Caruso got injured because of Grayson Allen. I thought that was still a dirty play. I don't care what you guys think. If you want to advocate for Grayson Allen, be my guest. But I thought that was a dirty play by Grayson Allen. And he caused Caruso to suffer a wrist injury that kept him out for an extended period of time. So, yeah. And I'm kind of biased towards Caruso because I'm a Laker fan and I love what he did for our team. So maybe I have some bias against Grayson Allen there. But outside of that, and he got injured again this series because I think Javon Carter shouldered him in the face from what it looked like. And then obviously Zach LaVine was in health and safety protocols for Game 5, similar to what similar to the Paul George situation with the Clippers in their playing game against the New Orleans Pelicans. But again, that's another story for another time. The Bulls went out sad. Having said all that, the Bulls went out sad, bro. Like, God, you lose at home. Both your games at home by 54 points. And you add that 16-point loss. Granted, it wasn't Milwaukee, but you add that 16-point loss. Dude, bro. Like, that's 70 points. You lost the last 3 games of the series by 70 points, while the first 2 games You only that score was how do you say it? The final score margin was 11 points. You lost game one by 7. I thought that was really nothing to hang your heads on. I thought you made some big noise in game two, and I thought you guys were on your way to upset the the Milwaukee Bucks, especially with Chris Middleton out. But nah, Grayson Allen made a fool of all y'all, bro. And I don't know, man. That was sad to see, man. Seeing Nikola Vucevic getting torched like that, and Vucevic really disappointed me this series, bro. Like, I don't care what his stats say this season. Nikola Jokic, I mean, Nikola Jokic. Did I say Jokic? I meant to say Vucevic. My bad, Joker. I'm gonna talk about you next, but I'm gonna put your team in a much more positive light than I'm gonna do with the Chicago Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks. But yeah, despite what the stats tell you, yeah, he averaged 19.4 and 12 rebounds a game, but like his stat line looks good, but outside of game two, he was not good at all, bro. Like, damn, he went out sad, and I think, bro, in that game in Chicago, I think the Bucks were on a fast break. Vucevic, instead of running out to Giannis, he just lets him walk into a three. Now I get it. Giannis. You don't expect you don't expect for him to make a three a good amount of the time, but at least get a hand up, get out there and make him think twice. But nah, he disappointed me this series. And DeMar DeRozan, I thought this was his coming out party for him to shut the door on any DeMar DeFrozen and playoff choker comments and all that other shit. I thought after game two, he shut all of that down. And he was on his way to shut that down for good in games 3 and 4 in Chicago. But no, he did not do that. 11 in game 3, 23 in game 4, and 11 in game 5. Very inefficient games, and he only had 9 shots in game 3. In the first 2 games, he had a combined 31 plus 25, 56 shots, and only made 22 of them. 22 out of 56. That's not a good percentage. He shot 42% from the field. I thought he took too many threes in game 5, for his liking at least. So he shot 0% from 3. And outside of game 2, DeMar was not all that good, bro. Like, I thought he disappointed me just as much as Vooch disappointed me. And Zach LaVine, I get that this is his first playoff series. Now, I'm not going to hammer him. I'm not necessarily hammering DeMar and Vooch. But, um, yeah, I understand this is Zach's first playoff series. I thought he did okay, except outside of the 44% from the field, he shot 45% from three and 94% from the free throw line and averaged 19 a game with 5 rebounds and 6 assists. So I thought that was pretty good. But unfortunately, he suffered. No, he didn't suffer any injuries this season, from what I know. Or I think he did. Fuck. But I'll search that up some other time. But he was in health and safety protocols, and so he couldn't go. And I think, and the game was only 116 to 100. So if you have Zach at least scoring 11 or something, maybe that game would have been closer. But I don't know. I probably can't say that. But going to the head coach, let's stop focusing on the players because Ao Dasumu is pretty good. I like Patrick Williams. I think those two are going to be very important role players down the line for this squad. It's just, well, they were injury riddled, and their main guys or their main guy came up small. But a lot of people are saying that this is his MO. He's done it in Toronto, he did it in San Antonio, and he did it this year. But let's talk about the head coach, Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan, this is a really bad look on his resume. Why? because okay, let's date it back to Oklahoma City. Um, when he had Kevin Durant, they made the Western. They went to the Western Conference Finals. They got 3-1 and obviously lost the 3 games after. Said what? Whoop! Again, not editing this shit. But he was up 3 games to 1, and they lost the next three, and that was with Russell Westbrook when he was good, and Kevin Durant. Ever since Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City, Billy Donovan has been a first round exit after first round exit after first round exit after first round exit for in the last 5 years. Or 5 seasons at least. 5, 6 seasons. He lost in 5 against Houston in 2017. The next year with PG and Carmelo playing alongside Russ, he got wiped out by the Utah Jazz in 6. Again, that episode, or I'm saying again, that episode with the Utah Jazz is coming pretty soon. Once the Mavs Jazz series gets wrapped up, but yeah, game 3. He got wiped out in 5 by Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum and the Blazers in 2019. 2020, he lost in 7 against the Houston Rockets. That was with Chris Paul and Shea on the team. And 2021, he didn't make the playoffs. They were pretty not good the whole season, but they were not. They tried to make a run for the play-in, but they couldn't get the job done. And 2022, it was going to look a lot different because you add Lonzo, you add Caruso, you add DeMar DeRozan, and obviously you made the trade for Nikola Vucevic the season prior. So I thought it was going to look good for Billy Donovan. But unfortunately, this is a really bad look for the guy because four in the last 5 seasons, he's been a first round exit. That's not a good look on your resume for someone that is a coach that knows what it takes to win a championship. Granted, winning a championship in college and in the NBA is like night and day, but he's still a champion with those Florida teams. But he just can't get the job done for some reason. I don't know if it's just lack of adjustments or it's just the fact that his team got outplayed. Or maybe it's just, you're coaching an uncoachable, or some who say is an uncoachable player in Russ. But I don't know. That's just me. Billy Donovan, and I'm not trying to say Billy Donovan is a bad coach. I'm just saying this is a bad look on him. Because I do think he's a better coach than people give him credit for. It's just, well, he's probably unlucky. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. This is a bad look for Billy Donovan. This is an even worse look for DeMar DeRozan because after that game 2 performance, having 41 points, he had an 11-point game, a 23-point game, and another 11-point game in games 3, 4, and 5, which reemerged the conversations of DeMar being a playoff choker. So yeah, it's a bad look for everyone on that Bulls team combined. Maybe outside Caruso and Lonzo because they were hurt, and Zach LaVine because he was in health and safety. But that was so bad. That was so bad. And give credit to the Bucks. I thought they played great. And in terms of the Hawks, I thought Miami played great defense on Trey. But I forgot to mention, I thought, I liked Atlanta's chances because they had Capella back and Kyle Lowry didn't even play. And when I said that, Jimmy Butler just exploded on him. And as soon as I said I liked the Bulls' chances without Middleton, Drew Holiday and Grayson Allen had something to say about that, and Bobby Portis did too. So, yay. So that life sucks, man. No, life doesn't suck. But anyways, that's enough about those two teams. Finally, I want to go to the Denver Nuggets because they're a team that I'm not going to slander, but I'm not going to praise either because Nikola Jokic, he was sensational throughout that series. He gave the Warriors a lot of trouble, and I think after the game, Draymond Green said that Nikola Jokic, I told I told him, thank you for making me into a better player because you gave me all you can handle. Jokic was great throughout the whole series, throughout the whole 5 games, averaging 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. I thought he was sensational. But the rest of the team, I can't rest my laurels on because there's no one outside of Nikola Jokic that I can look at and say, you know what, he is our best option. And his only two other options are hurt. And I'm looking at the stat line. Y'all could look it up for yourselves. I'm reading it right here. Nikola Jokic averaged 31 points a game. His second best player, Monte Morris, averaging 14. And Monte Morris was a starter. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Will Barton, 13.8. Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon, he's good defensively, but can we stop acting like he's a world beater? Because let's be honest, as good as Aaron Gordon is, for a fourth round for the fourth pick in the draft, he's been pretty disappointing. He was a pretty high pick in 2014 by the Orlando Magic, but he's been disappointing, man. He's been disappointing. But I think even more so, yeah, he averaged 15 points a game this year, but you're a fourth overall pick, and all you got to show for it was a 17.6 a game season on a very bad Magic team. That's a bad look for him, in my opinion. But the team was at its peak, and I've been thinking about this, y'all. Like, hear me out. Their peak defensively, as great as Aaron Gordon is defensively, Austin Rivers, he has stretches where he can defend. Jeff Green's a good defender. Monte Morris and Will Barton are underrated defenders. But unfortunately, the only time that their defense was at its best was when they had Gary Harrison, Torrey Craig, and Jeremy Grant. You gave those guys away, all of them away. For this roster, I mean, Bones Highland. Bones Highland is really good, bro. I love me some Bones, dog. He's a dog, and he can shoot it with the best of them. Unfortunately, he's a rookie. I can't really rely on a rookie to be my second best option behind Jamal Murray. Maybe within the coming years, but definitely not in his rookie year. And Michael Porter Jr., that was a bad contract. I get it, the potential. I get it. He's a bucket, but problem is he's way too inconsistent and way too injury prone. That was which makes him a bad contract. But Jamal Murray, man, I hope he comes back next year because he puts this team at another level. And ACL injuries suck, man. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like he would have made a world of a difference against the Warriors. Yeah, he could have caused a bit of trouble, but he wasn't gonna be the world beater that will beat Golden State like a lot of people say he is. Like, he's a really good player. I love Jamal Murray, and I think he would have given the Suns some trouble last year. But I'm not gonna act like he's some world beater that is gonna all of a sudden beat the Phoenix Suns. Because, for one, this is no LA Clipper team led by Doc Rivers. The Suns and the Warriors are far from those two teams. So, yeah, and this is not even the Utah Jazz. This is not even the Utah Jazz that blew a 3-1 lead. The Suns and the Warriors, they're much different animals. But, I don't know. When Murray and Porter comes back, that's when I'll really judge his team. But all I can say is good season, Nuggets. But you guys just weren't good enough this year. I'm sorry, but, outside of Jokic, Monte Morris being my second best scorer, Will Barton being my third best scorer, I understand Murray's out, but damn. You might as well have 5 Nikola Jokic's. You might as well have Jokic play one on 5 because that's what the series was. Everyone was just on fire in game 4, and they only won by 5 when it should have been a blowout. Oh yeah, and Boogie Cousins, he's actually still decent as a backup center, at least as a good energy guy, like what Montrez was for the Clippers, what Bobby Portis is for the Bucks, and all that other stuff. Monte Morris is pretty good from 3, and Boogie Cousins was pretty good from 3. But again, when you look at the points a game, you wonder why Jokic only averages 6 assists. Whereas in the regular season, I think Jokic averaged. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to look for this on ESPN. Yeah, he averaged 8 assists in the regular season. So it drops significantly because, number one, that Warriors defense is still tough. Despite the 2-year layoff, the Warriors picked it back up on defense like it never left. All right. They picked it back up. And no one could stop Jokic, but the question is, can they stop the others? And they did just that. So part of it is, the others not doing their thing and not helping out Jokic, but it's more so the Warriors defense giving the others trouble, because if you let Jokic go 1-on-5, they'll be fine with it. And, I thought games 3, 4, and 5, and especially game 4, it all felt like game 7s. I'll give Denver credit. They didn't fold and they didn't quit. But in my opinion, there is somewhat of uncertainty with this Denver Nuggets team in regards of what the future holds, if Jamal Murray can stay healthy, if Michael Porter Jr. can stay healthy, and what can they do to boost their roster defensively and get it back to what it was when they made their run to the conference finals. Now, I'm not saying get Gary Harris and Torrey Craig back. There's a chance you can get Gary Harris back via free agency, but I don't think you're going to get Torrey Craig back because he loves the Valley. He wants to stay in the Valley, and I don't think he loves it more than Denver. He loves it as equally like he did Denver, but they have a lot of questions that need to be answered in the offseason. Same with the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls. Maybe not Chicago, but more so Atlanta, because Atlanta, they have some questions that need to be answered in the offseason. And, they got to realize that, look, both the Hawks and the Nuggets got to realize, look, our best players are being hunted, and we need, I don't want to say hunted, but we need to do everything to maximize our best players' full potential. Because Trae Young, at his frame right now, it's not going to lead the Hawks to anything outside of a Game 6 of the conference finals, obviously, because we saw it last year. John Collins giving me 4, 9, and 5 is not going to get anything done. DeAndre Hunter, I hope he keeps up this level of play going into next year, because he looked like a legitimate case for most improved player. Bones Highland, I hope he can make a jump next year. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., please stay healthy. And Bulls, please stay healthy. All right. So yeah, that's me trying to set the record straight with these 3 teams. This is episode 2 of series recap. So episode 3 will be coming out tomorrow. I know I'm a day late, but it's been exciting watching these playoffs, man. But it's just that these 3 teams, I just needed to say something about, because I want to give them all a separate video, but just like I did last year, when I did, it was a crazy day in the NBA yesterday. I just basically meshed all the playoff series into one, and I'm basically going to do that here. And I think it's appropriate that I do that here, because these are teams that got wiped out. In Chicago's case, in embarrassing fashion, but and maybe Atlanta too, but for the Nuggets, they were just overmatched. So yeah, I really don't have anything much to say. Episode 3 will be me talking about the Suns and the Pelicans. But until then, that's the end of this video. I'm X. Deuces.